ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Welcome everybody to the Roundtable. Listen, I am so excited because during the pandemic, I fell in a little bit of a rabbit hole with my partner. He told me about a television show. I told him I am not watching this. And then I got sucked into Married at First Sight. We've had Dr. Pepper, we had Pastor Cal, and I love Dr. Viviana because I feel like she's just so calm. She soothes all my anxiety. She makes me feel heard and connected when she's speaking. And you can get a little dose, a little taste of what she's got with a brand new book. And we're going to talk all about it. If you're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network or you're watching us on YouTube and social media, make sure you get the book. Everybody get the book. Go to the website, take the quiz. Dr. Viviana Coles is here. Hey,
thank you so much
you're
for
here.
having me, Robert. I'm so glad you found the show during the pandemic with everybody else. I mean, obviously, I'm thrilled about that. So yeah, Married at First Sight, I was on the seasons 9 through 14. I'm a relationship and sex therapist in real life. And I was able to do what I do, but just on national TV and international TV at this point.
Literally, one of my questions I had for you is when you walk down the street and people recognize you from the television show, do they start to tell you their problems? What happens?
People say that for cocktail parties. That's when they really corner me and say, hey, I have this issue. But no, really, I am so fortunate. Everyone has been so kind and sweet, and it's very flattering. You know, I'm like I said, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified sex therapist. So then to have this other side of me that is very public and people really resonate with what I do and what I've shared and the help that I try to give. And so everybody's been so nice. Yeah, I haven't had anybody, thank goodness, who has been rude or anything like that. And you know, I'm glad that they like me. It's always nice.
You are your presence. I have a wonderful therapist myself, but listen, you just have a way about talking and your energy that just makes me feel safe and secure. And that's what's so important about when you're talking about some of your most private, intimate parts of your life.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because I keep telling like my colleagues and stuff that we'll know that people really believe in sex therapy or in couples therapy when we start getting a lot more referrals that aren't from like doctors and lawyers and psychiatrists, because then it will show people, hey, like, don't just go see my hairstylist or don't go look, this is my AC repairman. It's like, no, go see my sex therapist. That's what I would love for people to do, because everybody has issues at some point in their relationships, especially when they're long-term. Everybody has very relatable issues, and some people have very unique and complex issues. And I love it all.
Yes, I get it. So as you were saying, you're the president and lead psychotherapist at the Houston Relationship Therapy. You're the president at the National Sex Therapy Institute, a program you have all of the degrees.
I did. I went to school for a long time. I did. I really wanted to kind of max out on what I could do to really feel like I'm at the top of my game, even just out the gate. I've always known that I wanted to work for myself. I've always had a very entrepreneurial family and spirit. And that's why I say yes to so many different things, because I want to get the experiences. You never know if something's really going to speak to you until you do it. You know, yes, my practice is called Houston Relationship Therapy, but I actually am licensed in California, New York, Florida, and Texas. So I see clients from all over, and some have been on Broadway.
That's it. She's very ethical. We won't ask about behind the scenes, but now you. Well, if you're interested in information, while we might get it started, and there's a typo. It's doctor. See, she's a doctor. She has all the degrees, and I am here trashing it up in Jersey.
No, that's okay. Yeah, Dr. Viviana, spell out doctor. And that's me on social. That's my website. That's all the things. And you can find my book, The 4 Intimacy Styles.
drviviana.com. and you can grab the book of the 4 intimacy styles wherever books are sold. So you can get it. You can go to the website and grab a book. You even have
go to
like
the
bundles.
website. I'm sorry?
You have bundles. Like I could get romantic candles and I could talk about my intimacy.
Yeah, so let me tell you why. I'm very purposeful and intentional in the projects that I have, but I have a really soft spot for women-owned, minority-owned small businesses that I would love to promote. And so with the candles, I'd always thought, gosh, I'm so picky with scents. Ever since we had our first child, I'm like a hound and it never went away. And so I'm like that person who you gift a candle, 99% of the time I'm regifting. So I just happened to think of how can I kind of meld all of these things together? I'm a huge fan of killing 3 birds with 1 stone. And there's a wonderful business here out of Houston called Love and Make. And they're a woman-owned minority company. And they, I went and I could create my own scents. And on top of that, there are 2 wicks. So it's a great way to initiate sexuality with your partner because you can light 1 wick and put it somewhere where you know they'll see it. And if they're receptive to it, they'll light the other one. And that's a nonverbal cue to say, let's go. Or they can put the lid on it and say, maybe tomorrow.
Oh, I kind of love that because I was going to ask you about why do we find as a human race have such a hard time, embarrassment, and get clam up many people when it comes to physical intimacy and a healthy sexual life with people, with our partners, and in general.
It's such a fear of rejection. I think, unfortunately, in the theater world and even in, with any sort of opportunities that involve an audition or a tryout, there's always a huge likelihood of rejection. So some people get very immune to it. But outside of those experiences, it can feel very personal to have somebody tell you no, or not now, or not today, or not ever. And so I think that for a lot of people, they do internalize the rejection. And when you're in a long-term monogamous, exclusive, committed relationship, that can feel like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? It's not just today. It could be, well, what if this happens for it's been the next, last 5 years. What if it's the next 5 months or whatever? So I think a lot of people, it's just a real big fear of rejection. I think the other part of it is that people just don't know how to initiate. They don't know how to initiate in a way that isn't kind of juvenile and adolescent. And I will say a lot of men are the culprits when it comes to this. They get very like just grabby. And I think for a lot of partners, that's not seductive. That's not sexual. It's not sensual. And so they feel kind of like, wow, you're really lazy about your initiation. I don't want to reward this behavior. I talk about it in the book. So we go into depth.
Yeah, well, okay. So my question for you, and while you're on the website, everyone, counseling, online courses are available. There's a matchmaking services that's available. I mean, Dr. Viviana has covered you. That no matter where you are on your journey, if you've been married for 50 years or you're looking for your person, go to the website. There's so many tools and information available to you. So my question to you is intimacy. When I think of intimacy, I think of it as a physical act. And we have this, but intimacy is mind, body, and truly spirit. What is your definition of what intimacy is?
I think in order to really experience intimacy, it does need to have both the physical and the emotional. Anyone can have a quickie with someone. Anyone can have a one-night stand. Anyone can physically enjoy the experience, typically, if you're a healthy person, of sex. And I think that the intimacy piece of it is what allows for a bonding. It allows for a connection, and that connection is an investment in something that's more long-term. And it's an investment in feeling safe in your everyday life, and feeling supported and boosted. And these are all things that in our tough lives that, most people lead very tough lives these days, very complex and complicated and beautiful and all of those things. But to have somebody that you can say, you're my safe space. Not only that, but you're my friend, you're my play buddy. Sex is play. So to be able to escape in that way together with someone else, yeah, anybody can jet off and go do a trip solo, but it will be so fun and fabulous when you have a witness to it. So yeah, I think that intimacy, the definition would be that it is a way to really truly connect with someone else's soul and spirit, and it allows for a bond that is very difficult to break when nurtured.
Absolutely. I think there's nothing better than having that intimate relationship with someone where you trust them and you can really build a life and have a true partner. It is the most beautiful thing. And some of us we have lived in these crazy times, like you just mentioned, where we're coming out of COVID, where we have a lot of trauma. We've been through crazy times. We're scared, or we've been in the house for 2 years and now we're back out in the world. How has things changed over the past few years when you're dealing with couples, people trying to get on the dating scene, where we carry around our baggage and we put them at the door of our new person? How do we build that trust in somebody else?
We're so out of shape when it comes to these things. We're out of practice. I think for a lot of singles, especially, they're very shy in ways that they weren't before. And that shyness, I've noticed, has turned into laziness at times. But I can't tell you that the hustle is going to get you any further. So there's no like real path. And that's why I started Vivid Relationships, because I've been working with couples for 20 years, individuals and couples, but mainly couples. And so I've seen what it takes to get people to healthy or back to healthy, and to get them to truly be able to experience all the different facets of their lives in an improved way. And so I thought, you know what? I kept putting it off. Even when I was on the show as a matchmaker, I kept putting it off. I kept saying, that's not me. I'm a therapist. I'm a therapist. I'm a therapist. And I've always had a very full practice. I'm very fortunate, to have a really great client roster at all times. So finally I said, I have had so many worthy individuals who I know would be fabulous partners if given the right opportunity. And I said, let me go ahead and start to maybe reverse engineer these healthy relationships and do it in a way that is very intentional and meaningful and isn't like anything that's out there already. Traditional matchmaking, nope. Traditional dating apps, all of that, they are not hitting the spot. For me, I want to educate people. I want them to really be insightful and know what it is that they really need to find in someone else in order to have maximum compatibility. And the only way to do that it's not going to be to just sign up for something. We have to do like really deep dives. So the program that we have, the Dr. Viviana method for matchmaking, really helps individuals to figure out, okay, who am I and who's really going to enhance my lifestyle? Who do I need to find? Not just who they think they want, because that doesn't often work out well. They need to find the right person that's going to really fit in. And that's why we talk to family members, we do home visits, and everything is virtual. So we're seeing people from all over the states. We really make them, we do background checks, obviously, that's not obvious. A lot of companies don't do that, but we certainly want to. We are trying to get them to really be vulnerable so that we can make sure that we feel like we know that we know who they are. And the only way to do that is to do lots of deep dives and get all up in their business, which I have no problem doing.
Oh, I wouldn't either. That sounds fun to me. I absolutely love it. I know so many people who could benefit from help more than just swiping a mindless app where they can't trust what's going on and communication is not great. And I'm not trying to be, listen, my personal story, I was married for 16 years. At 32, I got divorced from my ex-wife. I took 3 years to come into myself. I came out later in life. No matter if you're any of the letters in the alphabet, we all deal with insecurity. We all struggle sometimes with communication. We all have different needs. So, and Dr. Viviana, men, I'm not trying to be mean to the men out there, not the greatest communicators all of the time. So if you're swiping it on an app, it's sometimes very hard to get what you want out. So,
well, and I've noticed that with my heterosexual couples that I've worked with or who are in the program, what they tend to not realize is that just because you feel a certain way about how you date and you have a certain kind of intention doesn't mean that the person you're talking to feels the same way. You have to be very explicit in saying, hey, I'm willing to give us the next month of just focused us time to figure out if we should go any further. Are you willing to do that? Because most of them will think, I think he's dating other people. Yes, he is. He is absolutely. He's probably, the average is like 7 people at one time for men. So, so you cannot assume that just because you're not dating anybody else or you're not really having deeper conversations and trying to connect with others, that that's what's happening on the other end.
Oh, then I'm going to take this moment to give a big shout out to my Darius. Thank you so much for being you and being with me, because I can't go back out there. No.
Oh my gosh. I think about it every day, Robert. I'm like so happy. I've been married to my husband for 16 years, and every day, even before the whole matchmaking agency, working with couples who really struggle, I don't have to ever tell him anything, and I don't, but he can just tell, like, you had a bad day. I'm like, I didn't have a bad day, but my clients did. And I'm like, I'm just so glad that you are you. So it's really nice.
Yes. I love that. I know that you have a full family life. You have your own family and your own life that you come home with. You hear everyone's problems and issues, and then you come home and have to put that, departmentalize that to then focus at home. How is that as a therapist? How do you separate the two worlds?
I can say, I think due to my training, having gone through not just a master's, but also a doctoral program in marriage and family therapy, I feel like it really did prepare me to say, from 1 hour to the next, you need to move on, because it can be very difficult. The things that we hear, we're not hearing all the great stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a sex therapist, so do you tell people what positions they should use? I'm like, no, they go to Cosmo for that. Like, they're not gonna pay my rate for that. Okay? I can give it to them, but that's not what they're coming in for. I'm listening to the things that are much more deep-rooted, deep-seated, resentments, abuse, lots of distrust, arguments. I mean, there's so much that goes into infidelity. I mean, all of these things. So if I'm not able to say, give me those last 10 minutes of the hour, right? So that's when I get to transition over to, okay, I'm closing out this case and I'm going on to the next, because my next clients deserve all of me as well. Sure. And I'm fortunate. I've always been able to do that. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing in general. And it's been a great skill to have as a therapist.
Amazing. Well, I want everyone, when you go to, I'm obsessed with the whole idea, the life of a therapist. When you go to Dr. Viviana's website and you look for the book, there's a free 99 free quiz where you can find out your intimacy style. There are 4 of them.
Yes.
I took the quiz.
Bonding. Yeah. So it's bonding, release, giving, and responsive. And the whole point of the book and writing this up was to answer the very, very popular question that I would get, which is, we know our 5 love languages. We know which one is which. We're doing really well with emotional intimacy, but what about sex? And when you hear, but what about sex? Like for the 100th time, or 1,000th time at this point, you say, okay, I'll tell you, but I need to put this in writing, because you're not the only ones who have this question. So rounding out your intimacy style is my way of asking everyone to, in as many as possible sexual experiences with their partner, to make sure that they have bonding, release, giving, and responsive in about 25% of each, so a quarter of each. And what that does is it helps you to round out your intimacy style, so you're making sure that your needs and your partner's needs are always being addressed and met. And for long-term intimacy, that is the key. Because again, it's so fun to have just some moments of release. It's so fun to have moments that are very bonding. But if you don't have all of them, at some point, something is going to give. It's really important for everyone who's in a sexual relationship, especially if they're monogamous, to count on their partner for those needs to be met. And this is my way, after 20 years of putting it out there and saying, this is what I know to be true, and I'm passing it on to you.
And it is really a fun quiz. It does not take much time. Yeah. Is it something you should do with your partner? Is it something you should have a conversation about? Is it something for you to know internally? What's the best thing to do with the information?
All of the above, but you should take the quiz based off of what you want for yourself. A lot like with the 5 love languages, I'm always telling people, don't do it based off of your partner and what you think your partner is capable of. This is truly about just picking the right answers that work for you. And then you can share the results with your partner to talk about them. If your partner really struggles with talking about anything having to do with physical intimacy or even emotional intimacy, get help. There are people out there that can get to the issue like that and really kind of tweak things and send you on your way. There are lots of other freebies that I've recently added to the website. If you go to, you'll see on the website that there's a place for the Dr. Viviana method. When you check out, I have like 5 different freebies and they're all very different, but you can just sign up to get them emailed straight over to you. And that helps to subscribe you to my email newsletter. It's not your mama's newsletter. Like I have lots of great tips on there. I have videos and podcasts and products and links to all sorts of fun things. So even if it's just to hold on to them and hold on to the emails that have all of this, I think it's worth it. Late at night when you're like, you just had an argument or you can't sleep or whatever it is, that's a great opportunity for you to just kind of check out what's going on there. I've designed my website in such a way where I feel like it's for the late night people. It's for the people who are like up and thinking, what can I work on? Or how can we avoid what just happened? It's for those people who want to peruse late at night.
No, it's a really well done website with so much information on there that I got stuck in like a deep dive of like, what's next and what else can I do? And what else are you sharing, giving all these little pearls of wisdom. I ended up taking the quiz and now I am one thing more than the others.
Okay. Let's see which one.
I'm 44% bonding.
Oh yeah. Okay. So what that means and what I think, I'll tell you why it's a good thing and why you need to maybe work on decreasing it a bit, is that for people who are predominantly bonding, they need to have sex in order to feel closer to their partner. They're often with someone who needs to feel closer to their partner in order to have sex. So for people who are predominantly bonding, it can feel like a rejection to the max if your partner says, no, not now. Because what you're hearing and what you're experiencing is not, oh, not now, it's, oh, you don't want to connect with me right now? Like you're distancing yourself. And if it happens more than once or twice or 3 or 4 times, then it can start to feel like, oh, there's a deterioration in our connection. It's putting a lot of eggs into one basket, and it creates some pressure over time. I've known people who are in the 75th percentage when it comes to bonding. And I'm like, that sounds like it's a cute little thing where, oh, it's so important. No, it creates way too much pressure to have sex in general, but then to also have sex very often. And in the real world, it just doesn't happen as often as you'd like.
I have done I have my own therapy. Like I said, my therapist has a nice shore house on the Jersey Shore thanks to my insurance money to work on my overthinking, anxiety, anxious attachment, all X, Y, Z, all down the line. So I was not surprised to be bonded because I feel when I'm in a relationship, I feel very connected. I want to be connected to my partner. And they're I mean, the titles are fun, like The Giver, like they're very fun. I know what you did, Dr. Viviana, you little sneak, but you have to take the quiz. Can you tell us a little bit about the other 3 besides my codependent attachment one?
So release is when you need sex in order to just feel like your body is releasing tension. It is almost like a pacifier. It's something that just creates a sensation of euphoria. Some people use it as a stress reliever, as a muscle relaxant, as just like a calm your brain sort of thing. Again, all well and good. None of these are bad. And then giving is when you get the most pleasure out of a sexual experience when you're able to give your partner pleasure. Again, there's good and bad to that because I don't know of anybody who's going to kick somebody out of bed who wants them to experience pleasure. but they can be guilty of not wanting it to be reciprocated. And so their partner then feels like, you've put this wall up where you're not letting me also feel good about giving you pleasure. You're not letting me get points, And so that can turn into something when it's a little bit imbalanced. And then responsive is something that we predominantly will notice it when people say, like, I just never really feel like having sex. I don't get urges. It's great when we do have sex, but I'm not the one who's like thinking about it all day or trying to like drum up and anticipate the next session. And what that can come across as is a lack of desire or a lack of desire to their partner. And what it usually means is just that they need to be in a particular headspace to be open and responsive to sexual cues. So they might say, oh, when my partner brings it up, yeah, I'm all in, but it takes me a little while to get there. And I really enjoy it when we do have sex, but I'm not really the one to initiate. Again, good and bad if you're having that in larger dosages and even in too small of dosages, because the flip side of not wanting sex that much and being responsive is that your partner, if you're always initiating, if you're always up for it, right? Your partner might feel like, well, I never get to chase you and I don't ever get credit for coming. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm seducing you because I know you're going to say yes. And again, depending on what kind of relationship you've experienced, some of these might feel like, oh, I would love that. But I mean, there's always a good and a bad side, right?
I totally understand. It's so fascinating to me because, we all live in our own little bubble where we have our own experiences. So when you go through them, you think, oh, that's not me. Oh, I wouldn't be with someone like that. Oh, that sounds like me. And we all live, but there's so many different ways. And again, I feel like we have to break the uncomfortability to talk about sex. We're all here because of it. We all do it. It's something that is a part of life. And we get so nervous to talk about it.
We do. We get really nervous about it. And unfortunately, what that ends up looking like is what I was telling you earlier, is that people don't seek out the help, or when they do, they're very close-lipped about it. And so they don't normalize that your relationship is one of the most important factors to experience a satisfying life. And a big part of that is your connection, emotional and physical. So why not normalize the idea that you want to go and get tune-ups, checkups, you want to go repair things, you want to have maintenance. Therapy in general, as you've probably noticed since the pandemic, is much more lauded these days than ever. And I'm so glad for that. But I just really want relationship and sex therapy to kind of be in the next wave of acceptance and appreciation, just like everything else.
When you are having conversations and you have an issue or there's a problem that comes up, or you want to tell your partner something like, hey, this happened and I didn't like it, or I love this, or I wish I could do this, or I have this fantasy of what I would like us to try. What is your advice to broach the subject? When's the right time? What's the kind of tone, language, voice that we should use when we want to talk about this with our loved one?
I think you should ask them, when's a good time, if not now? Always give them a heads up, like, hey, I have this idea for something that I think could be really great for us. Do you have 10 minutes to talk now? Or do you want to wait until like Friday over lunch? Giving them a little bit of a heads up might not scare them as much, but be prepared for them to say like, oh no, wait, what's going on? I want to know, and be ready to talk. So I would then say something along the lines of, I think I would do a better job of being open to what it is that your criticism might be of me if you were to say it in this way. And what I'm trying to tell y'all is that it's so important to have the answer that works. It's not enough to say, I don't like this. You need to say, I like this better, or this will work better. And that might take a little bit of research on your part or insight, and really taking a look at what works for you, because no one ever does a good job of getting, what they want when they don't know what it is. So Make sure you're telling them what you want.
Got it. Look, I'm an actor, so I could take a note. Just give me a note and I'll make sure we We'll try to do it better next time. I have so many. There's got to be a million questions I have for you. When you come in, when people come and meet with you, when couples meet with you or individuals meet with you, what do you tell them is a general way to get over anxiety in general? I see more anxiety in a classroom. I see more anxiety amongst friends and family. We're very nervous. We're nervous because there's so many things going around us. So then that trickles into our homes and trickles into our relationships. That overthinking and that self-doubt and all of this stuff that we've now talked about more than ever. How do we start healing from the inside out?
So there are two ways that I say to like kind of breach that or even broach that anxiety when it's first coming on. And that is to get grounded. No matter what, if you start by getting grounded and just making sure that you're within your body and not just within your head, you're going to be in a better place to be able to counteract the negative effects of anxiety. Not all anxiety is bad, especially as an actor. I'm sure you've seen like it's important to care. It's important to like have all of your cells kind of working together. The other piece of it is to make sure that your head is calm. And what that might look like is doing a guided imagery. I have a free one narrated by yours truly on my website at drvivianamethod.com or drviviana.com. And guided imagery is really great. Being able to get your breath under control is very, very important. I don't know of anybody who can think straight when their body and their mind are disheveled. So making sure you're grounded, making sure that your brain is able to kind of focus on one thing. There are so many good resources out there. Long-term resources for long-term anxiety help, short-term for like, anxiety attacks, those sorts of things are all out there. It's going to take something like you going out and researching and saying, I'm going to try all 5 of these and get back to myself about which ones worked best. Get a toolkit, right? Obviously, it's not a physical toolkit, but it is a psychological toolkit of ways that you can combat that. And, even people who don't experience a ton of anxiety do some things sometimes naturally to calm themselves down. They don't even know that they're doing it. So you might already have these tools within you. You just need to be more intentional about them.
That is such wonderful advice, such wonderful words of wisdom that we all can take with us, especially during these times. So what's our homework? What should we be doing? We're going to go online.
Yeah. You're going to go online, check out the website, check out all the freebies, take advantage of that. I would say that do something really loving and romantic. We are so far away from romanticism these days. Not everything romantic has to be cheesy. It's almost like finding your brand of romance. It's out there. And I think that, we've taken off our rose-colored glasses a bit too much. I think people are much more like black and white. And I feel like it's time to get back to a more creative space, a place of like longing and arousal and desire. And it can't hurt. It really can't to say, I want to try to be a little bit more romantic. I know that both men and women are longing for that right now. And so the more romantic you are, the more you're open to seduction and initiation, you're going to be a much more desirable partner. So all of you singles, check out Vivid Relationships and go on to my Instagram. Vivid Relationships is the Instagram for my matchmaking agency. I'm doing a singles tour, so I'm going around the US. My next stop is in Denver. I just did Vegas. It was so fun. My next stop is in Denver. So check that out. I'm always adding on new cities and just having a good time to get the singles together.
You can see Dr. Viviana and you could find your future right there, right smack right in the middle of the city when she's coming to a city near you. I think what you said is very true. I love romance and people think it's corny, but I love a flower and I love a movie night and I love a date and a surprise and a box of chocolate and yes, a little love and a little text to say like, I think you're beautiful. I think we need to do that with each other.
Or even just, I love you. There are so many people who are in long-term relationships and they're like, oh, I don't need to say it. They know. Oh, no. Or I don't need to hear it. I know. but it doesn't hurt to say it. Again, another freebie that's out there is the Dr. Viviana method for everyday intimacy that you can download. And it is a little bit of a challenge for couples to try every day to really keep that connection going. You don't have to do big, grand gestures, but you need to not lose sight of the small things that keep us feeling like we really are in these relationships together. And there is a sense of romance to that.
Well, I don't mean to turn this around me and my relationship because he'll kill me for talking about him too much, but we are long distance. He works and lives out in another Michigan, and I'm here in Jersey, and we swing and see each other. But what works well in long distance is that it forces you to communicate in a way that we sometimes take for granted when we live in the house. Because if I don't get on the phone, if I don't FaceTime him, if I don't text him, good morning, have a good day, I hope you had a nice day, talk to you after work, then we get to really build intimacy because we really are sharing our day and our feelings. When we live in the same home, sometimes we're like, oh yeah.
I see it all the time. Some couples don't even do more than peck. Like I'm a big fan of a 3-second kiss. I feel like it's a very intentional, it's a very powerful way of conveying a feeling of love. And so that 3-second kiss whenever you are together is so important to kind of infuse into your daily life. And some people, like, they just kind of go like this, and they expect that that's going to be okay, or they get used to it until they're not, until something happens that highlights their disconnection. And that's when people feel like they get blindsided by a divorce or a breakup. It's not coming out of nowhere. So if anybody's listening and you haven't held your partner, you haven't verbally told them, I care about you, I appreciate you, and this is why, don't lose sight of that. It's so important, and everybody needs it. I don't care how stoic they may be. Everybody needs to feel wanted, attractive, and worthy.
You don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want you to tell them that you love them or care about them. That's absolutely. And single people, you can find someone who's going to care about you too. You just got to go to her website and hit the road. That's what they do. You've got to go online and grab your copy at drviviana.com of the 4 Intimacy Styles, so you know exactly what you can do and try to even yourself out and know and communicate and talk to your partner. And if you're single or if you're in a relationship or you want to get help, all of the resources are right there. Yes, right there, Vivid Relationship. I know people who put it out there, who knew what they wanted, and they were engaged and married, not in a day, not at first sight, but that were engaged and married within months. It's possible.
Right. Well, and it's true that so many people these days, they don't want to spend the next 10 years getting to know someone. So my methodology is bold, it's unique, but it is for people who are saying, I need to know now if you're the right person for me, or I need to get further along in this. I don't want to spend the next 3 years just going back and forth between 3 different people online, which is happening. And, some people they like, okay, I'm going to get back on the dating apps. I'm going to and guess what? 7 hours later, they're like, shh, I'm out. Get me off. I need the off ramp. And I feel for them. I really do, because there aren't a lot of other viable opportunities and options for them. I'm really hoping that Vivid Relationships will be a really great viable option for people who are conscientious, intentional, and purposeful in wanting to find a partner.
I am so excited for people to check this out. I am so excited to hear all the success stories that are going to come out of this. And congratulations on this work, because this is work that is saving relationships and helping people to really have fulfilled, great partnerships. And that is what you're giving people. So thank you.
Thank you. And for all of you who are looking for just some general tips on, some of my top tips on how to stay in a healthy relationship or get into one, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, just look up Dr. Viviana. I'm going to be releasing videos weekly that can help you out with all of that. So
I've signed up for the newsletter. I'm ready to go on the YouTube. Tell us all the tips, Dr. Viviana. I'm ready.
I have so much information. I just want to get it out there. And I'm trying to get it out there everywhere that people might see it.
When we had we have a lot of fans of Married at First Sight that have been on. Dr. Pepper's advice was have a fun, interesting nightstand full of toys, which, hey, listen, whatever floats your boat, everybody. So I'm sure Dr. Viviana has some tips for things. I'm sure that...
Yes.
From the clean to right down to the good old fun, I'm sure you've got us all covered.
There's something for everyone. Yeah. And a lot of you don't even know what you really want. Look at fun stuff with you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. You're so sweet. I so appreciate your time. We're such a big fan of what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. And I'm really excited for everything that you're doing. And I love that you're interested in all of these topics. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yay.
I so appreciate
you.
Oh no, you're such a pleasure. You really are like absolutely sunshine, and you make it so comfortable to talk about things that are sometimes really uncomfortable to talk about. You make us feel like we're all.
Yeah.
Well,
I need to make it out to Jersey. I have not made it out to Jersey. Everyone there, I have a lot of people who reach out from Jersey, and I just haven't made it out there, but I would love to do something.
Well, if you do something in Jersey, I will be there. I will promote it. I will do whatever you need me to do. We will get people out here.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Good luck with everything.
I wanted my Darius to come on and say hello to you, but he works. So
should we say a little like a video for him?
I don't want to put you on the spot. Can you?
No, I don't mind at all. His name is Darius?
Yeah. He's in Detroit. Yeah. He's Darius, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Hey, Darius. Thank you for being such a beautiful, conscientious partner to Robert. I can tell he just loves you and thinks the world about you. So continue to have those kisses when y'all see each other. Continue to hold each other tight and always stay connected.
Dr. Viviana, you know what I told him? I said, if Dr. Viviana says hello, then I don't have to buy a Christmas gift, a birthday present.
I'm saving you money. Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Viviana. I appreciate
you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.